Hey spooky people, it's your best friend Kenny, and today we are going to do a iceberg series video, The Ultimate Paranormal Iceberg by Reddit user mannofnope. For those of you that don't know, an iceberg video starts with the most normal, well-known topics at the very top, the tip of the iceberg. As you go deeper and deeper into the iceberg, the topics get more and more obscure and more disturbing. Before we get to the video, make sure that you subscribe to this channel, like this video, and hit the hype button. Thank you. Robert the Doll. Robert the Doll is a famously haunted doll. It's over 100 years old and it's currently displayed at the Fort East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida. He is a big figure in Key West folklore, and there are a lot of tales of paranormal activity and a curse that has made him world-renowned. Robert the Doll's history begins in the early 1900s. The original owner's name was Robert Eugene Jean Otto, and he was given the doll around 1904, and he lived in Key West. He named the doll Robert. There are two main origin stories for Robert the Doll. The first is that the doll was a gift, just an innocent gift that was manufactured by the Stief company in Germany. It was purchased by Jean Otto's grandfather. However, there is a cursed gift narrative. A popular and more sinister legend claims that the doll was a one-of-a-kind effigy given to the boy by a Bahamian servant who worked for the Otto family. And this legend suggests that the servant was mistreated and cursed the doll with voodoo as an act of revenge. Jean Otto had an intense lifelong attachment to the doll, often speaking of him in the first person. As a child, Jean would blame the doll for any mishaps or misbehavior. When toys were broken or rooms were messy, he would simply say, "Robert did it." Family and friends reported hearing strange giggling in the house or witnessing the doll's facial expressions change. Some claimed to hear Jean in the room talking with the doll with a distinctly different voice answering back. Jean kept Robert even as an adult, long after his parents died. His wife, whose name was Anne, supposedly hated the doll and insisted it be locked away in the attic. Makes sense. Smart wife. After this happened, visitors to the home and even people on the street claimed to see Robert's figure moving from window to window in the attic. Ooh, that's spooky. After Jean Otto died in 1974, the house was eventually sold. The new owner's young daughter was delighted to find Robert in the attic. Little did she know. Soon, she would become terrified, claiming the doll was alive and wanted to hurt her. In 1994, the doll was donated to the Fort East Martello Museum, where it remains on display. He sits in a glass case holding his own small teddy bear. But since he's gone to the museum, his legend has only grown. Museum staff and visitors claim his paranormal activity continues, with electronic devices malfunctioning in his presence. Most famously, Robert is surrounded by thousands of letters from people over the world. These are apology letters from visitors who believe they are cursed with misfortune, such as car accidents, job loss, or broken bones, after taking Robert's photo without his permission or otherwise disrespecting him. So cursed dolls are interesting, right? Cursed objects. People get this confirmation bias when they're near these cursed objects, these cursed dolls, right? So people think because something bad happens to them and, oh, I encountered this cursed doll, that this must be related to this cursed doll. So is Robert the Doll cursed? I don't know. Probably not. It's probably coincidences, but it's still a fun story, and it's a creepy as hell doll. Annabelle is probably the most famously haunted doll, right? The story is popularized by paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. And unlike the doll that is seen in the Conjuring film, the real Annabelle is a common Raggedy Ann doll. The story of Annabelle begins in 1970. A mother purchased an antique Raggedy Ann doll from her hobby store as a birthday present for her daughter, Donna. Donna was a nursing student living in a small apartment with her roommate, Angie. Donna placed the doll in her bed as a decoration. And soon after, she and Angie allegedly noticed strange and creepy things happening. The doll would mysteriously move on its own. They would leave the apartment with the doll on the bed and return to find it on the couch, in a different room, or in a different position, such as with its legs crossed. The roommates began to find handwritten notes on parchment paper with messages like "help us" and "help Lou." Lou was a friend of theirs. They claimed that they didn't own any parchment paper, so this was an odd thing to happen. They were scared. Donna and Angie contacted a medium to hold a seance. The medium told them that the doll was inhabited by the spirit of a 7-year-old girl named Annabelle Higgins. And according to the medium, this girl died on the property where the apartment complex was built, and she just wanted to be loved and stay with them. Feeling compassionate, Donna gave the spirit permission to inhabit the doll. Oh boy. After permission was granted, the alleged paranormal activity intensified. Their friend Lou had always been afraid of the doll, claimed to have a terrifying experience with the doll. He said he awoke from a bad dream to find the doll next to him, gliding up his leg before it began to strangle him. On another occasion, he claimed to have been attacked by an unseen force that left bloody claws or slash marks on his chest. This prompted the roommates to contact an Episcopal priest, who in turn contacted the paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren. The Warrens quickly came to a different conclusion. They did not believe the doll was possessed by a child's spirit. Instead, they believed it was a non-human demonic entity. According to their theory, spirits do not possess objects. They possess people. And the Warrens alleged that the demon was merely manipulating the doll and pretending to be a harmless child spirit to prey on the roommate's sympathies. Its ultimate goal, they claim, was not to possess the doll, but to gain permission to enter their lives and eventually possess one of the human hosts, either Donna, Angie, or Lou. The Warrens, with the help of the priest, performed an exorcism of the apartment and took the doll with them at Donna's request. Ed and Lorraine Warren built a special glass case for the doll and placed it in their occult museum in Monroe, Connecticut. The case was inscribed with a warning, positively do not open. The museum was closed in 2019 due to zoning violations. The doll, along with other artifacts, is now in the possession of the Warrens' estate, managed by their son-in-law, Tony Sparrow. The doll has been recently taken on tours to be displayed at paranormal conventions, and in July 2025, there was a rumor that the doll had escaped, and in August 2025, it was reported that comedian Matt Rife had purchased the Warrens' former home and the entire occult collection, including the Annabelle doll. So good luck, Matt. Enjoy it. Again, the Conjuring movies are good, except for the latest one. I didn't like The Conjuring Last Rites. Maybe you did. I don't know. If you did, that's fine. You could tell me I'm wrong in the comments. But it's really hard to believe these haunted doll stories, even the Annabelle one, especially when you look at the Annabelle Raggedy Ann doll. It does not look scary. The Myrtles Plantation is a historic pre-Civil War home located in St. Francisville, Louisiana. It was built in 1796, and it is widely known as one of America's most haunted homes. It's a popular destination for ghost tours and paranormal enthusiasts like us. Today, it operates as a bed and breakfast, offering historic and mystery-themed tours, as well as a restaurant, and of course, a gift shop. The plantation has many haunted legends because of its dark reputation built on legends of tragedies and death, although a lot of these stories have been debunked. The first is the legend of Chloe. This is the most famous story associated with the Myrtles. According to legend, an enslaved woman named Chloe was the mistress of the plantation owner, Judge Clark Woodruff. After she was allegedly caught eavesdropping, the judge cut off her ear as punishment, forcing her to wear a green turban to hide the scar. Seeking revenge, Chloe allegedly baked a birthday cake using poisonous oleander leaves. The plan backfired, killing the judge's wife, Sarah, and 2 of their children. The other enslaved people, who were afraid of the master's wrath, supposedly hanged Chloe and threw her body into the Mississippi River. Her spirit, wearing the green turban, is said to haunt the plantation. William Winter is the only historically documented murder at the house. William Winter was an owner who lived there after the Civil War, and he was shot on the front porch by a stranger in 1871. The legend claims he staggered into the house, climbed 17 steps up the main staircase, and died in his wife's arms. His dying footsteps are still reportedly heard on the stairs. There are no historical records showing that the Woodruff family ever owned an enslaved person named Chloe. And historical documents indicate that Sarah Woodruff and her children were not poisoned. Instead, they died from yellow fever. Now, William Winter was murdered on the property, but the account suggests that he died almost instantly on the porch, not on the 17th step, as the legend claims. The Myrtles Plantation mirror is a key part of the ghost lore surrounding the Myrtles Plantation. This mirror is an antique mirror located in the house, and according to the plantation's most famous legend, the mirror holds the spirits of Sarah Woodruff and her 2 children. According to customs, mirrors in a home are supposed to be covered after a death to prevent spirits from being trapped. This particular mirror was supposedly overlooked and not covered, resulting in the spirits of Sarah and her children becoming trapped within it. Visitors and staff have reported seeing the figures of the woman and the children in the mirror, as well as unexplainable child-sized handprints appearing on the glass. The legend's haunted mirror is a central part of the plantation's haunted reputation. Again, this goes back to superstition, right? The idea that you have to cover a mirror. You have to cover a mirror when someone dies. Someone not following that superstition, and therefore the ghosts are trapped in the mirror. I haven't seen the mirror in question, so I can't really say, for sure that this mirror is not a haunted mirror, but I generally don't believe that this mirror is particularly haunted. It might be a spooky mirror, and that's fine. The mirror can be spooky. We can have a spooky mirror. The Sally House. The Sally House is a small, unassuming home in Atchison, Kansas, and it's gained international fame for its reputation as being one of the most haunted houses in America. This house has stories of violent physical haunting, primarily directed at Matt. It's a popular destination for paranormal investigators and is open for tours and overnight stays. The house was built in the mid-1860s and was once the home and office of a local physician, Dr. Charles Finney. According to the legend, a desperate mother rushed her 6-year-old daughter named Sally to the house with severe abdominal pain. Dr. Finney diagnosed Sally with appendicitis and feared it was about to rupture. He supposedly rushed her to an operating table and began an incision before anesthesia had fully taken effect. Legend says Sally died on the table. Her last memories being of a man, Dr. Finney, torturing her. Her spirit is said to have remained in the house, where it now reportedly attacks men who enter, especially those in the former operating room. The house was a normal residence until 1992 when a young couple named Toby and Deborah Pickman moved in with their baby, and their experiences are what made this house so famous. The family first noticed harmless things such as lights flickering and their baby's toys being found and arranged in circles. But the paranormal activity soon turned aggressive, focusing almost exclusively on Tony. He would suddenly be afflicted with painful, bloody scratches on his chest and back. Tony also reported being pushed, burned, and having objects thrown at him. On one occasion, a fire spontaneously ignited in the nursery. Psychics who visited the home claimed to communicate with the spirit of a young girl, Sally, who confirmed she was responsible for the attacks on Tony, because he reminded her of the doctor. The Pigman's family ordeal was documented in the 1990s TV show Sightings, launching the Sally house into paranormal stardom. But despite the fame of the Sally story, historical research has found no evidence of a girl named Sally ever living in the house or dying under Dr. Finney's care. So this has led to some other theories. Many paranormal investigators and even the Pigman family have suggested that the entity is not a little girl at all, but a more sinister, inhuman spirit pretending to be a child to gain sympathy. Investigators have focused on the basement where a pentagram was reportedly found carved into the floor, leading to speculation about past occult rituals. Today, the Sally House is a major tourist attraction in Atchison, which is known as one of the most haunted towns in Kansas. This seems to me like the type of place you have to experience for yourself. I've never been there. If I'm ever in the area in Kansas, I'd love to check this place out. Might do it someday. I actually don't think I've ever been to Kansas. I've actually never been to Kansas, so I don't know that I will find myself to have the opportunity to go visit this place, but I would and see what I say. I can't really judge this place and say I don't believe that this place is haunted, having not been there. But story is a pretty fascinating story, and like a lot of these paranormal folktale type stories, it turns out that the truth of the legend is lacking historical evidence. That happens. The Hands Resistum is an eerie painting by artist Bill Stoneham that has become one of the internet's most famous urban legends. It's often referred to as the eBay haunted painting. And no, it's not haunted just because the person who bought it won't leave the seller alone. Here's the story behind it. The painting was made in 1972. And it depicts a young boy and a life-size female doll standing in front of a glass-paned door. Pressing against the glass from the dark on the other side are numerous small hands. The artist Bill Stoneham has explained the painting's meaning. The boy is supposed to be a self-portrait based on a photograph of the artist Bill Stoneham at 5. The doll is the guide to the world on the other side of the door. The door represents the veil or the dividing line between the waking real world and the dream world or the world of the impossible. The hands are other lives, possibilities, or spirits. The title The Hands Resistum refers to these hands trying to stop him from leaving the other world. The painting gained mainstream fame in February 2000 when it was posted for sale on eBay by an anonymous couple. Their auction description was not a typical art listing. It was a warning. The sellers claimed the painting was cursed and detailed their experiences. They claimed their 4-year-old daughter told them that the children in the painting were fighting and would come out of the room during the night. The couple set up a motion-sensing camera and claimed to have captured photos of the boy exiting the painting as if in terror and the doll threatening him with a gun. In the auction itself, in the comments, people who viewed the image online claimed to feel ill, hear voices, and feel a sense of dread. The sellers included a disclaimer disavowing any liability for what might happen to the buyer after purchasing this painting. Now, I'm not going to comment on the liability waiver here from a legal aspect, but I mean, you have a good argument that they, the people who bought the painting bought it knowing that it was cursed. The auction page was viewed over 30,000 times, and the painting eventually sold for $1,025 to a gallery in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Bill Stoneham, the artist, was shocked to discover that his painting was at the center of an internet ghost story. He confirmed that the owner of the gallery where the painting was first displayed and the art critic who reviewed it both died within a year of its debut, though he does not attribute this to a curse. The painting is now located at the Haunted Museum in Las Vegas, which is run by the paranormal investigator Zach Bagans. The Ouija board. You guys know what Ouija boards are. A flat marked board with letters of the alphabet, numbers 0 through 9, and it has a little piece of wood that you move around. These boards are used as a supposed means for communicating with spirits. People who are using it, you place your fingers lightly on the triangle thing, ask questions, and it's supposed to move across the board to spell out answers, right? According to paranormal lore and spiritualism, the board acts as a conduit or portal for spirits, ghosts, and other entities communicating with the living. Participants are just vessels, and the spirit moves the triangle to answer the questions. This is why an Ouija board has a dark reputation, as many believe it can open a door to malevolent or demonic entities, like in the movie The Exorcist. Now, the scientific community believes that it's not moved by spirits, but by the participants themselves. And the phenomenon is called the ideomotor effect. The ideomotor effect is a psychological phenomenon where a person makes tiny unconscious muscle movements in response to a thought suggestion or expectation. So when you sit in at a Ouija board, your brain is actively thinking about possible answers. For example, if you ask, "What is your name?" your brain will unconsciously start to think of letters. These thoughts trigger minuscule involuntary movements in your arm and finger muscles. Because everybody's fingers are on the triangle thing, these tiny individual movements add up, causing it to slide across the slick board towards the letters the participants are collectively expecting or wanting to see. The movements are unconscious, so it creates a spooky illusion that an external force is guiding it. Now, personally, I don't believe in Ouija boards, and I think the scientific explanation here is pretty good. The Conjuring house is a real-life farmhouse located in Harrisville, Rhode Island, that gained international fame as a setting for the paranormal events depicted in the 2013 horror film The Conjuring. It was the Perron family home. In 1971, Roger and Carolyn Perron, along with their 5 daughters, moved into the 18th century farmhouse, which was originally known as the Arnold Estate. Almost immediately, the family claimed to experience a wide range of frightening paranormal phenomena. These ranged from moving objects, strange noises, and bad smells, to apparitions, beds levitating, physical attacks, and a sense of a malevolent presence. The family, along with paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, came to believe that the primary entity tormenting them was the spirit of Bathsheba Sherman, a woman who lived nearby in the 19th century. Local lore painted her as a Satanist or a witch who had cursed the land. The parents contacted famed investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren in the early 1970s. The Warrens investigated the house, conducted a seance, and declared it a significant haunting. Their case files became the primary inspiration for the Conjuring movie. The house is currently a private residence, not a museum, and due to the fame generated by the film, it has become a major point of interest for paranormal enthusiasts. It's changed ownership several times since the parents left in the 1980s, and some of the recent owners have opened it up for paid tours and overnight paranormal investigations, capitalizing on its notoriety from the movies. Now, I think this would be a cool thing to go visit, especially because, as a fan of the Conjuring movies, as a fan of horror movies, a fan of the Conjuring movies, I think it would be a great visit. And, I haven't been there. So again, I can't really comment on whether it's really haunted or not. The Amityville Horror. Now, I did a video debunking the Amityville Horror. And I tell most of the story there, so if you want to go watch a video debunking this story, go ahead and watch my video. But the Amityville Horror refers to a world-famous supernatural horror story based on the alleged paranormal experiences of the Lutz family, who briefly lived in a house in Amityville where a mass murder had occurred 1 year earlier. The story begins on November 13th, 1974. On that night, 23-year-old Ronald Butch DeFeo Jr. used a high-powered rifle to shoot and kill all 6 members of his family as they slept in their beds at their home. The victims were Ronald DeFeo Sr., Luis DeFeo, Dawn and Allison, his sisters, Mark and John Matthew, his brothers. Ronald DeFeo Jr. was convicted of 6 counts of second-degree murder in 1975 and sentenced to 25 years to life in prison, where he died in 2021. His motive was never established. At trial, he claimed he heard voices telling him to kill, but his defense team's insanity plea was rejected. Over the years, his story kept changing. After the murders in December 1975, George and Kathy Lutz and their 3 children moved into the house, which they had purchased for a bargain price. They fled the house in terror just 28 days later, claiming they were tormented by demonic paranormal presence. And the story became the basis for the 1977 best-selling book, The Amityville Horror by Jay Anson, which launched a massive film franchise. The Lutz's paranormal claims included demonic voices. When a priest came to bless the house, he allegedly heard a deep masculine voice command him to get out. There was a small, hidden, red-painted room in the basement that was not on the blueprints, which their dog refused to go near, called the Red Room. There were unexplained cold spots in certain areas of the house. George Lutz also claimed he repeatedly woke up at 3:15 a.m., which was believed to be the time of the DeFeo murders. They claimed a green gelatinous slime reportedly oozed from the walls and the keyholes, and mysterious smells of perfume or excrement would appear and disappear. Kathy Lutz claimed to levitate above her bed. Swarms of houseflies appeared in the dead of winter. Famed paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren were called to investigate the house after the Lutzes had fled. They conducted a televised seance and claimed the house was a portal to hell. During the investigation, a photograph was taken that appears to show a ghost boy with glowing eyes peeking out the doorway. Almost immediately after the book's publication, the Lutz's story had a lot of skepticism directed towards it, and it's now widely considered to be a hoax. William Weber, who is Ronald DeFeo Jr.'s defense attorney, has publicly stated that he and the Lutzes created this horror story over many bottles of wine. Weber's goal was to help DeFeo get a new trial, and the Lutzes' goal was financial gain. Subsequent owners of the house, who have lived there for decades, have reported no paranormal phenomena whatsoever. Many of the Lutzes' claims were refuted by the people and the investigators involved. So, Amityville Horror is a famous horror story and horror movie with a house that was the center of a horrific crime and a ghost story that was almost certainly fabricated that created one of the most successful horror franchises of all time. The Enfield Poltergeist. The Enfield Poltergeist is a famous series of alleged paranormal events that took place in a house in Enfield, North London, England between 1977 and 1979. It involved the Hodson family. Peggy Hodson was a single mother. Margaret was a daughter. Janet was a daughter. Johnny, son. Billy, son. Beginning in August 1977, the family reported a wide range of increasingly disturbing experiences. They claimed moving furniture with bed shaking, chairs sliding across the floor, heavy drawers moving on their own. They claimed knocking sounds and bangs on the walls and floors. They would claim objects being thrown, toys, marbles, and other small objects. They claim that they heard disembodied voices, strange voices, including a deep, gruff male voice. The voice sometimes spoke through Janet, claiming to be Bill Wilkins, who was the man who supposedly died in the house previously. Janet and sometimes Margaret were allegedly seen levitating or being thrown from their beds. Famous photos exist supposedly showing Janet mid-air in her bedroom. And there were sightings of ghostly figures that were occasionally reported. The case got significant media attention and investigation from paranormal researchers, most notably Maurice Grosse and Guy Lyon Playfair from the Society for Psychical Research. And Lorraine Warren also briefly visited the home, although the extent of their involvement isn't really known. Investigators have documented many of the events, including audio recordings of the alleged Bill Wilkins' voice speaking through Janet and photographs of objects moving or Janet supposedly levitating. Now, this case has always been controversial. Skeptics argue that the events were elaborate hoaxes carried out by the children, particularly Janet. Janet and Margaret admitted to faking some of the phenomena once or twice to see if investigators would notice. Investigators caught Janet bending spoons and hiding a tape recorder. Some analyses suggest the famous levitation photos simply showed Janet jumping off of her bed. And despite these hoax claims, many witnesses, including police officers, neighbors, and journalists, reported witnessing inexplicable events. The sheer volume and consistency of reports, alongside with the apparent distress of the family, have led many to believe that at least some of the paranormal activity was genuine. This house would become part of the horror movie The Conjuring 2. The Stanley Hotel. The Stanley Hotel is a historic hotel located in Estes Park, Colorado, that overlooks Rocky Mountain National Park. It opened in 1909 by Freeland Oscar Stanley, who is the co-founder of the Stanley Motor Carriage Company. It's a large 140-room hotel. And it's famous for being the inspiration behind the Overlook Hotel in Stephen King's best-selling novel, The Shining. Stephen King and his wife stayed at the Stanley in 1974, just before it closed for the winter season. Their isolated experience in the nearly empty hotel, including a stay in room 2017, is what inspired the story. Due to its association with The Shining, the Stanley has gained a significant reputation for being haunted. It's considered one of the most famous allegedly haunted locations in the United States and offers various ghost tours and paranormal investigations to capitalize on this reputation. Some of the most common paranormal accounts associated with the hotel, there's room 217. This is the most famous room where Stephen King stayed and drew inspiration from The Shining. The primary spirit associated with this room is said to be Elizabeth Wilson, the hotel's chief housekeeper from the early 1900s. In 1911, Wilson was injured in an explosion while lighting lanterns in room 2017. Guests report items being moved, luggage unpacked, lights turning on and off, and a general feeling of a presence. She's said to be particularly attentive to unmarried couples staying in the room, sometimes creating a cold spot between them and the bed. Ooh, that's a mood killer, huh? The fourth floor is supposedly haunted. The entire floor was formerly the servants' quarters and is considered a hotspot for paranormal activity. Guests and staff report hearing children running, laughing, and playing in the hallways late at night when no children are present. Some rooms, like room 418, are often cited for intense activity, including impressions being left on the bed and closet doors opening and closing. Some also report seeing the apparition of Lord Dunraven, who is the previous owner of the land near room 401, sometimes accompanied by the smell of his cherry pipe tobacco and seeing him looking out the window. The concert hall of the building is said to be haunted by a few entities. Flora Stanley, the wife of the hotel's founder, was a pianist. Guests and staff report hearing phantom piano music playing from the hall when it's empty, attributing it to Flora's spirit. Her ghost is often seen as well. Paul, a former handyman and construction worker who enforced the 11 p.m. curfew when the house had employees. People sometimes report feeling a nudge or hearing a voice telling them to get out, particularly in the backstage area. Mr. Stanley himself, the original owner and builder of the hotel, is also said to make appearances. There's also general phenomenon throughout the hotel, with guests and staff reporting disembodied voices, whispers, phantom footsteps, lights flickering on and off, doors opening, closing, or unlocking on their own, shadow figures darting in hallways, cold spots, and feelings of being watched or touched. Gettysburg Hauntings. Gettysburg, Pennsylvania is considered one of the most haunted places in the United States, and because it was part of the bloodiest battle of the American Civil War, which happened between July 1st and 3rd, 1863, resulting in an estimated 51,000 casualties. The sheer scale of death, suffering, and attention motion packed in those few days is believed to have left a profound psychic imprint on the area. The Gettysburg battlefield is considered to be a massive haunted hotspot. Some of the areas that are notorious are Devil's Den, which is a rocky hill that was used by Confederate sharpshooters. Visitors report seeing ghost soldiers and hearing disembodied voices, gunfire, drum rolls, and rebel yells. Little Round Top, which was a crucial Union position during the battle. Reports include seeing ghost Union soldiers, hearing battle sounds and phantom footsteps, feeling cold spots and unexplained breezes. One story involves visitors being guided by a mysterious man dressed as a Union soldier who then vanishes. There are also haunted buildings in the town. The town itself served as a massive field hospital, with many of the buildings housing wounded and dying soldiers. One of these homes was the home of Jenny Wade, the only civilian killed directly during the battle. Visitors report smelling bread baking. She was supposedly baking bread when she was shot. Feeling cold spots, unexplained touches, seeing ghosts, sometimes believed to be Jenny or soldiers. Zach Bagans and Ghost Adventures. Zach Bagans is an American paranormal investigator, television personality, and he operates a museum in Las Vegas. It's a cool museum. But he's best known as the lead investigator and host of the TV series Ghost Adventures. He's known for his intense and confrontational style of investigating. He frequently attempts to provoke spirits and dark entities to elicit responses and capture evidence. He focuses on the darker history and negative energies of the location. As I said earlier, Zach Bagans also has a museum in Las Vegas, the Haunted Museum in Las Vegas, which houses a large collection of allegedly haunted objects and artifacts from infamous locations and crime scenes. Ghost Adventures is a popular American paranormal documentary and reality television series that premiered in 2008. It originally aired on the Travel Channel, but it's now on Discovery Plus. The show is famous for its lockdown format. The team is locked inside a haunted location from dusk until dawn, often in complete darkness. They use a variety of equipment to try and capture evidence of paranormal activity. They focus on the history of the locations, often interviewing witnesses and historians before the investigation. Zach Bagans narrates the show dramatically, and there's often intense reactions during these lockdowns that become a big part of the show. Ed and Lorraine Warren. Ed and Lorraine Warren were a married couple from the United States who became two of the most famous and controversial paranormal investigators in modern history. Ed Warren was a self-taught, self-professed demonologist, author, and lecturer. Lorraine was a clairvoyant and light trance medium, asserting that she had the psychic ability to communicate with spirits and demonic entities. Now, you know the Warrens from the Conjuring movies. In 1952, the couple founded the New England Society for Psychic Research, the oldest ghost hunting group in New England. They also ran the Warrens Occult Museum from their home in Monroe, Connecticut, which housed artifacts that had collected from their alleged paranormal cases. Despite all their fame, the Warrens have been the center of significant controversy, with many skeptics and even other investigators accusing them of fraud. As we talked about the Amityville case earlier, and that is an example of the Warrens being involved in a fraud case. They also exaggerated their development in the Enfield Poltergeist case. Skeptics have investigated the Warrens' claims and have concluded there's no scientific or verifiable evidence for any of their cases. They argue that the Warrens were skilled storytellers who profited from fear. Electromagnetic field meter. An electromagnetic field meter, or an EMF detector, is a scientific instrument designed to measure electromagnetic fields. It detects and quantifies the strength of surrounding electromagnetic fields. These fields are invisible areas of energy associated with the use of electrical power in various forms of natural or man-made lighting. EMFs have both electric and magnetic components. The meter contains sensors that react to the electromagnetic fields and then displays the field strength reading, usually on a digital or analog screen. The readings are typically displayed in units such as Gauss or milligauss for magnetic fields, Tesla or microtesla, which is the international standard. EMF meters are one of the most popular tools used by paranormal investigators, including Zach Bagans and the Ghost Adventures crew. The belief among ghost hunters is that spirits, ghosts, and other paranormal entities can manipulate electromagnetic fields when they manifest or interact with the environment. They might draw energy from existing fields or create their own fluctuations. These investigators look for sudden, anomalous spikes in EMF readings in areas where there are no obvious man-made sources like wiring, appliances, or cell phones that could explain the change. These unexplained fluctuations are often interpreted as potential evidence of a spirit's presence or activity. But it's important to note that the use of these EMF meters in ghost hunting has not been scientifically validated. There's no scientific proof linking EMF fluctuations to paranormal activity. And so skeptics point out that many reported spikes can often be attributed to mundane causes like faulty wiring, hidden pipes, radio waves, or even walkie-talkies. So whether EMF meters are useful and whether they can detect ghosts is an unproven theory. Electric voice phenomena. Electric voice phenomena refers to sounds found on electronic recordings that resemble speech but are supposedly not the result of intentional recording or rendering. They are unexpected, faint voices or voice-like sounds captured on audio recording devices. They're typically short, often single words or brief phrases captured on devices like digital voice recorders or audio software on computers. They're usually not heard at the time of the recording, but are discovered upon playback. EVPs are often considered potential evidence of spirit communication. Investigators believe that these voices may belong to ghosts, spirits, residual energy, or non-physical entities attempting to communicate from beyond. Paranormal often ask questions into the air when they're recording, hoping to get some sort of response when they play the recording back. And you've probably seen this before. You know, the EVPs, the voices vary from clarity, volume, length. They're usually distorted or whispered or strange sounding. And usually it's the type of thing that you're told what the thing is saying and then your brain sort of puts it together. It's called auditory pareidolia, the brain's tendency to perceive patterns in random or ambiguous noises, like to hear voices in static or background sounds. There's also the possibility that these recording devices could be unintentionally picking up faint radio broadcasts or other types of wireless communications, or just flat out misinterpreting background noise. Now, whether you believe in EMF meters and EVPs, that's sort of up to you. I feel like these are the type of things that you're provided with this sort of explanation, and you just sort of have to believe it or not. You either believe that these EMF reportings actually pick up ghost energy, or they're picking something else up. Just like you have to believe in these EVPs and these electronic voice recordings that you're hearing actual voices, that you're hearing actual words, that the words you're hearing are real and what you're hearing. Again, that's up to you. It's up to your interpretation. I don't know that I really believe in either of these things. I think that, there are cognitive biases that make the EVPs sound like voices, sound like words. Spirit box. A spirit box, or a ghost box, or a Frank's box, which is named after its inventor Frank Sumption, is an electronic device used in paranormal investigations with the goal of communicating with spirits in real time. A spirit box is essentially a modified radio that continuously scans AM and FM radio frequencies, or both, at a rapid speed. Unlike a regular radio that stops on a station, a spirit box keeps sweeping and never locks onto a single broadcast for more than a fraction of a second. The rapid scanning creates a constant stream of white noise mixed with very short snippets of sound, fragments of words, music, static, picked up from the various radio stations it sweeps past. The theory behind its use in ghost hunting is that spirits or other entities can manipulate this audio energy. They supposedly use fragments of sound and white noise generated by the sweeping radio to form words and phrases, allowing them to communicate directly with investigators. So these investigators will turn on the spirit box in a location believed to be haunted and ask questions out loud. Then they listen to the rapidly changing audio snippets coming from the device, trying to come up with meaningful words or relevant responses within the noise. They're literally searching for the signal within the noise. Their goal is to have an actual conversation with these ghosts. And this is similar to EVPs and EMF readers. It's not accepted by the scientific community. There's a bunch of cognitive biases that result in people hearing things in these noises. And it's quite literally taking sounds from actual radio snippets. So random words can just sort of pop out because it's scanning the radio. Dybbuk boxes. A Dybbuk box is a container that is supposedly haunted by a Dybbuk. Well, what is a Dybbuk? In Jewish folklore, a Dybbuk is a malevolent, dislocated spirit believed to be the soul of a deceased person. The spirit supposedly wanders restlessly until it can inhabit or cling to the body of a living person, causing illness or them to go crazy or speaking through them. Exorcism rituals are performed to expel those spirits. The modern concept of the Dybbuk box comes from a specific story popularized on eBay. Bet you didn't think there was going to be multiple eBay ghost stories here, right? But it was popularized on eBay by a man named Kevin Manis, who was an antique dealer, bought an old wine cabinet from an estate sale in 2001. The estate sale was from the belongings of a Polish Holocaust survivor named Havela. Havela's granddaughter told Manis the box had belonged to her grandmother, who kept it hidden and always warned it must never be opened. She explained it contained a Dybbuk that was summoned during a seance-like ritual after the Holocaust and subsequently trapped inside. There were Hebrew words carved on it. After taking the box home, Manis reported experiencing terrifying nightmares shared by others who slept in the house. Strange smells like cat urine or jasmine flowers, insect infestations, and seeing shadowy figures. He claimed the box brought bad luck and disturbing experiences to whoever possessed it. He gave the box away multiple times, but subsequent owners reported similar terrifying experiences and returned it or sold it. Finally, Manis listed the box on eBay with its dramatic backstory. The listing went viral and spread the legend of the haunted Dybbuk. The box sold on eBay and was acquired by museum curator Jason Haxton, who documented further alleged paranormal activity and wrote a book about it. The story heavily inspired the 2012 film The Possession, solidifying the Dybbuk box in popular culture. Paranormal investigator Zach Bagans purchased this digital Dybbuk box from Haxton and now displays it in his haunted museum in Las Vegas, claiming it's one of the most dangerous objects there. It's important to note that Dybbuk boxes are considered modern urban legends. Dybbuk's spirit has roots in authentic Jewish folklore, but the concept of trapping one in a box like this is a modern invention stemming from Manis's story. Mainstream Jewish religious authorities do not recognize the Dybbuk box as a part of a traditional Jewish practice. Kevin Manis would later admit in interviews that he fabricated significant portions of the original story for creative and potentially commercial reasons, though he maintains that some unexplained events did actually occur. Again, a Dybbuk box is a container, a haunted object, supposedly has a ghost trapped in it, and has been made popular through modern legends. And that is the first tier of the Ultimate Paranormal Iceberg. We're going to do another entry in this probably about once a week until we finish this. Hope you enjoyed it. I think it was interesting. A lot of interesting stories in here. Make sure that you're subscribed to this channel, The Spooky Lawyer. Make sure that you like, share, and hype this video. If there is a spooky or disturbing story you would like me to cover, leave a comment and tell me about it, or send me an email if you're feeling shy. If you'd like to support the channel, you can make a donation through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description box of this video or in my profile, or you can become a member of the channel for $1.99. You can become a first tier member to get access to exclusive videos as well as my videos before they go public. I'm going to put the names of all the people who've donated to this channel here, and I'm going to put the names of all of the members of this channel here. Thank you all very much. You also support me by clicking like, sharing, and watching my videos. And I really do appreciate that you watch my videos. And please stay spooky.